Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Brandon Jinx Jenkins. I want to welcome you guys to A Genius Perspective presented by Hennessy V.S.O.P. Today, we're talking about collaboration, we're talking about artistry, not just what you do, but why you do it. And I'm joined by two geniuses themselves. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Rook from Justice League. We got 3 Grammys, a few hit records, a few Maybach musics.
A few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We collaborate with quite a few people.
My name is Dawn Richard, and I am an artist and also a creative director at Adult Swim, so I'm an animator as well. And I've collaborated with a few different types of people, from being in groups, girl group, and then being in a group with a multi-million-dollar boss, so that was cool too. So I've had my share of collaborations as well.
When someone comes up to you on the street, how do you tell them what you do?
I kind of say that I'm a curator. I'm a creative curator, and I tell them that I'm not just a singer, I'm an entrepreneur. And I think that I always looked at my music and even the collaborations and everything that I do is kind of in that way. I feel like artist and singer is so loose these days. I think a curator is better, right? A culture creator. When I work with adults, I was like, I'm a culture curator, because they didn't really have a lot of color, right? I felt like the stories that were being told in the animated world weren't of us. And I was like, let me curate something that feels like us in your space. I've done that in music. I've kind of done that in the groups that I'm with. And so when I would talk to people about what I really do, I kind of lean towards saying I'm more of a curator.
I like that. For you, how do you describe it?
Usually when they ask me, I'm a record producer. And they say, well, what is that? Well, we facilitate the completion of a record. So basically everything from musicians to mixing to the final process, everything is a collaborative effort. And you try to tell them, oh, you make beats, or you this and that. So, some people don't understand that. But no, we don't just make beats. We do a lot of the hiring, we organize a lot of the ins and outs of the record, whether it's mixing, whether it's musicians, whether it's, everything, If an artist needs something, we'll get it done.
You all stand at the intersection between artistry, culture, and commerce, right? Like, it's not just that you guys are artists, but you guys are playing in the cultural space, telling our stories, representing us. And then there's also the business side of this, right? When did you start to see yourself like, hey, I'm an artist?
I always saw myself as not, I don't think I ever not saw myself as that. Even when I was in education, or even when I was very young, I was like, okay, if I felt like the outlet, the escape was in the art, right? I'm the awkward kid. I was always the oddball. So art saved me. So the moment I felt like the escape was artistic, the escape was artistic, that was the moment I said, I'm an artist. Even if I wasn't doing art all the time, I felt like I connected with a tribe of people who understood understood the concept of escapism, because that was what art was to me. I don't know, I always kind of woke up I'm leaning toward the art side of things in life.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, for me, my father, he's a musician. So I kind of grew up around that, being around other jazz musicians and whatnot. I met tons of famous jazz people when I was younger, and everybody from Tito Puente to Miles Davis. And my dad works with Al Di Meola, and I met all those guys. I didn't know who they were, So I was like, cool, whatever, I just want some ice cream. But I've always, I knew how to draw, I knew how to paint and stuff like that. I still do it sometimes. But, so like Dawn said, I've always leaned towards the arts. I suck at basketball, But, the arts, I've always leaned towards that. So I didn't really call it an artist. I just it was just what I did.
Yeah, it's what we knew it to be.
It's who we are,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And you growing up with it, I think is brilliant, having family I think is a catalyst, right? It's in your home and it's in your space, and you're you have no choice.
Yeah, it's funny, I try not to have a moment when you said you weren't good at basketball. I didn't know I sucked at basketball for a long time.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know, and then I was wait, I'm not good.
Yeah.
And then I somehow find my way into more artistic endeavors, but the basketball thing hit home. I felt
That's funny. It's crazy. I was actually good in sports, and I still chose art. That's why.
You're gifted.
I don't know if I'm gifted. No, I didn't say I'm not gassing. I'm just saying that it's funny because I think it's the wild when you can be. What happens when you like both? Like it's like a wild thing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I guess.
I love sports. I'm good at sports, just not
basketball.
Yeah.
But we talked about like kind of your self-perception of art and feeling like you're an artist. What was it like when you presented that to other people? I mean, you grew up in an artistic household, for instance, but like, did everyone else around you, maybe your peers or your friends, get it? You know, when you were starting to do things that were fueling your creativity?
I'm not real sure because I always kept it to myself. I know like my mom and my dad and my family, they were like, oh, that's a good drawing, it's really good. It's like, I was like, you know, young, like 5, 6 years old doing oil paintings and stuff. And I know one time they sent me to an art class. I was super young, and I did this oil painting of a land, some Bob Ross shit. I don't know what it was. Something like that.
Shout out to Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Word.
So I did it, and I thought it looked stupid. I was like, because it didn't look like that, like what he was doing. And I never went back to the class, so I thought they kicked me out of the class because I was whack. But then years later, it was like, nah, you were just too good for the class. So the teacher said you didn't need to be here. I was like, oh, for real? Damn, well that's good. I always thought I sucked.
He's like, oh, I just never stopped.
So it was, so the family, they always thought they supported. Friends, I always kept it to myself until, it's like now, I keep things to myself until I know it's good, so I'm ready to present it, and here you go.
When did you first appear and hop out as someone that was like, hey, I'm producing, right? I imagine the first element of that might have been beat making.
Probably in high school.
Yeah?
In high school, yeah. And just making tracks on some keyboard like my dad had and computers and stuff. And they sucked, but I was just trying to.
They were important for that moment. Yeah.
Right. I was just trying to emulate other guys that I loved, like Premier and RZA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they probably made beats that sounded just like them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they sucked. But everybody thought they was good.
Yeah.
But I thought they were good, but when I listen back to them, like, oh, what was I thinking?
But it's like the path of the artist. You always feel like, there's more you can do, and you can see like over that hill in a way that some people can't.
It's an obsession.
Yeah.
You get obsessed with it, it's like, oh.
What about you? Like that presenting yourself, like you said, you always felt like an artist, but presenting yourself or even some of your early artistic endeavors to people.
Yeah, I grew up my dad was in a funk band in New Orleans, a really popular band called Chocolate Milk. And they were really popular in New Orleans, and they toured with the Ohio Players. So my dad was popular in New Orleans. They would still play his music. So I knew he was supportive. He also had a master's in music theory, so he taught music. And my mom was a dancer. But she also had a degree in elementary education. So there was a level of artistic presence in the house. So when I was 2, the tights went on. When I was 5, my dad was a choir director, so go sing in the choir. However, they were like, there's no money to be made in art, so you can do this for fun, but you can't actually make a living. So I did it with the intent of I really loved it, but I didn't think I could make anything of it. So they gave me the inspiration to be like, I think you should keep doing this because it was naturally just present in the house.
Damn, I love that.
Right, my mom owned a dancing school, so my friends were the girls and boys in the dancing school. We created a neighborhood, a world, where Black girls and boys who didn't have a lot of money could dance and learn and get certificates and have degrees and dance. So my mom was kind of like this hood Peter Pan for or like this hood Robin Hood for dance, And so when they couldn't afford their recital costumes, my mom would take her money from, teaching and.
That's awesome.
And we were that. And so they knew what I was. We knew what we were to each other in that community. And so it felt good. So if we wanted to perform, if I wanted to go to the warehouse in New Orleans and do a performance and say I want to be an artist, the dancers would be from the dancing school. We wear the outfits, and my dad would play the keyboard, and he'd ask John Baptiste when John was young and he wasn't playing who he is now, getting mad Grammys, and Troy Andrews, who was trombone shorty, and we would ask them, we were kids, and they would play, and we would play, and they went on to be Juilliard people, and who they are now, but we weren't that then. We would just tour, and that was who we were, this little cool mecca of kids who I never knew it would go anywhere. I just thought it was healing, and so those were the reassurances that I needed. We consider ourselves artists because in New Orleans, everybody was everyone was an artist.
It feels like that. That's one of those cities. It feels like when you arrive, like you kind of arrive in an environment that is breathing that as soon as you get off the airplane door opens. It's just like the air rushes in and you feel that.
Talent. Yeah. Like to the point where you'd see tap dancers that would rival Gregory Hines or the Nichols brothers, and they'd be 5, 6 years old tapping on with steel that they've put on their dirty shoe. Just the levels of it, like the talent is extreme, and we don't know anything else, So like for me, I understood the concept of an artist. I never saw myself as like, I'm an artist. It was just like, I'm 2, let me put these tights on. My mom said I should. My dad is the choir director at St. Maria Goretti, so here I go and I'm gonna sing, and not ever thinking a career could come from it, more just thinking, it feels like New Orleans, it feels like home. That's what an artist is. When's
the moment it jumped over that curve for you?
Yeah.
It was like, hey, this is a career. Like, not, and I'm saying like by that, maybe not necessarily commerce, but like I'm not just a creative sort of keeping it to myself or something I grew up with. Like I'm taking this and this is like a thing I'm showing people, and maybe this is a career.
Yeah, it was funny because in New Orleans, everybody had a circuit. And everybody was doing what you would normally do, jazz, R&B, soul, and here comes me in the pop, right? I'm like, I want to do choreography, so I was this weird New Orleans girl touring in these spots with John Baptiste and them playing on the keys, but I'm singing Erykah Badu and Britney Spears covers. They were like, what is this girl doing? Right? I didn't know that it was really hard to figure out if that would be something I could do. It wasn't until Anthony Hamilton gave me a shot to open up for one of his shows. And I fell in love with the stage at that moment and the concept of choreography, the concept of dance, because understand, a Black girl at that time, the only thing we had as a pop artist was Britney Spears from Kentwood, Louisiana. There was no brown girl from a pop culture aspect coming from Louisiana or New Orleans. So the dream was too big to think it could ever be. But that was the first time I was like, oh, I might want to do this. Yeah. And Anthony Hamilton, forever, I will always be grateful. He gave me a little local shot. And the moment I felt the stage, the choreo, the concept of dance, the 8 count and performance, it changed my life. And I was like, okay, I might want to do this.
Yeah. What about for you?
Okay, when I felt like my competition was like Dr. Dre and the Neptunes and all those guys, the guys that I look up to, I was like, you know what? I love these guys, but I'm coming for your head. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's when I felt like, I'm making these beats. And in my area in Tampa, St. Pete, nobody's making beats like I was. So it was like, I was getting hated on a lot because there was a lot of dance music, a lot of jerk music over there, and they didn't like the style shit I was doing because it was more sample based or it was more melodic, more, R&B-ish or hip hop. And it was like, oh, he samples, he sucks, he's slow, he can't dance to that shit. I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you. So I wanted to kind of change the trajectory of the sound in Florida. That was my personal goal and the goal of the two of us, the Justice League. So Over the Hump was more of when I felt like my beats were being, when I felt like I can compete. I felt like I can compete. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And that was probably like around 2000, 2001, something like that. That's what I was. And then I was comfortable. I was like, okay, let's go. I went to LA for the first time in 2002 and did some sessions. And I was like, yeah, I got this. Like this is.
You saw it.
Yeah, I felt it. I was obsessed with just being the best.
But that's an artist, right? Obsession and artist, like.
Yeah, people don't really understand it.
Yeah,
they don't understand.
We're sensitive about our shit.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, how do you both said this thing, like you saw it, right? Like how do you just.
It's hard to,
how do you describe that, right? Because I know it's like
it's a high.
Yeah.
It's a high. Especially, I really relate to what you said about being, oh, come on, it's euphoric. You say you were introverted. That's real, me too, right?
Yeah.
I never, artists, they don't, you're here, it's internal. You're fighting to find yourself within it. Like, you're very sensitive about your craft. You're over analyzing everything because there's a perfectionist in you and it is obsessive. You can't describe something that is innately being, like, happening in real time for you, right? Like, you're conceptually coming up with these things as it's happening, and it's ever changing because it's never perfect. It's never right. No, and that's your downfall as an artist, right? It sucks. Because you're constantly nitpicking it. God damn it, I can get it better. Yeah. Like, the hard part is stepping away and saying, let it breathe. That's the truth of it, is like any true artist really can't describe what that is, because it's the closest is euphoric or a high, because and then once you get it, you never want to come down from it. So you're constantly chasing
the dragon.
Come on.
I was telling someone that about, this is a recent conversation I had. I was telling someone about, like, to be in the creative industry, but remove the industry part to be creative. The industry part is where the friction comes, because when you start to have things your way, or you reach that creative zone you want to be in, you want it again, and you don't really want to relinquish it. And anything that invades that space that feels like it's going to stop it, it can cause a lot of friction.
You're territorial.
Yeah, you get territorial about your ideas and the things you want to happen. But in the same instance, collaboration is a real big part of it, right? Someone introducing an idea, or collaborating with you on the business end, or someone saying, hey, maybe it's good. Yeah. Maybe it could stop. So I kind of want to ask you guys about positive versions of collaborations you experience. I mean, you are in a production duo, which is always something I'm curious about. And I think we've talked about this before, not in this moment, but how does that work in a way where you have to be like, to hand something off, right? Or to be like, hey, we're done.
I think within us, we've known each other for so long. We're damn near married now. You know what I'm saying? Me and Coley, we know each other. So he can work on something, or I can work on something. We know that, you can do this. Here's something for you. Here's something. So, and in the studio together, we know when to, like, fall back, and we know when to take lead. You know what I mean? Like,
how did you develop that? Like,
it's because now it's unspoken.
Yeah.
And now it's just intuitive.
It wasn't like that though, right?
No. I'm naturally soft-spoken. I'm naturally, reserved. So I'm like, okay, he has these great ideas. Let him. I'm gonna let him do his thing. And once he's done, I'm gonna come back and do this and do that. And sometimes I'll take lead. Sometimes I'm like, okay, we need to do this. And then he's like, yo, let's do this. I'm like, yo, I didn't think of that. Let's do that. So it's, after a while, it just became like, and then sometimes we'll go in with a game plan too. We're like, okay, we got these tracks, or we got these ideas, or we need to do this type of song. And then we'll go in, and sometimes the artists are like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, so let's, whatever. So,
Revamp.
Yeah, we gotta pull the audible. Like, or we might play a few tracks, and the artist is like, nah, let's make something from its own spot.
Damn.
And we're like, okay, let's do it. And then we'll make something on the spot. And that's where we really start collaborating.
Damn, yeah. Everyone starts throwing their ideas in there and and you can watch them sort of pick up on the thing you're working on. Yeah.
We can start playing some chords or playing samples or whatever, and then the artist is like, oh, I like that. Where's that? Okay, cool. We should do this, we do that. So I like that process a lot though.
I think everyone is, they literally have this on YouTube, where one of my favorite things is artist in studio with ex-producer, and you watch the artists come alive, right? Like, you watch them, a sound goes off and they go crazy. One that I saw was like with Timbaland and Busta. And it's Busta's annoying Timbaland for beats, like, yo, I'm not coming back again unless my beat is done. And then Busta's playing around and he lands on a key. And he likes the sound, and he has this crazy Busta Rhymes, only Busta Rhymes can make this expression, this crazy expression. And then Timbaland comes in and picks off where he left off. And it's, and you're watching this collaboration happen in real time, and you're seeing this feeling that, like you're saying, as a viewer, you can feel it, but I don't know what the word is,
It doesn't have a word, and I think that's synergy, right? That rhythm that you find.
It's a good word.
Yeah. I've experienced it on so many different levels, and it's funny because you say Busta, because he's funny. But like the concept of you talking about like you've developed a marriage with your partner, right? Like it don't always start that way.
No.
So collaborations are a give and take, and sometimes that don't always be as pretty painted as you guys.
Yeah.
Might not be 50-50.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I've been in groups where that did not work out.
Oh no, we argue.
Yeah, but it's good for people to understand the concept of how hard you work to develop that marriage that you've had, right? Because y'all are bomb. I mean, come on,
Thank
bruh.
you.
Y'all, come on, we know. But you know, like that takes a level of effort and understanding and listening, and when you have two people who are sensitive about their shit, right? Two artists, that becomes really incredible to understand that type of synergy.
Yeah.
And even just beyond music, but like collaborating within a business space, or collaborating within animation, or collaborating within music. I love the relationship between the artist and the producer. Yeah. The concept of co-production and executive producing, and having, that is 3 different to 4 different minds coming together saying, I have this idea, I have this concept. Most artists, you get to traditional artists who the label is on your neck and they're saying this is what we want. Yeah. But then you get special people who come in and say, I know exactly what I want, and you sit down and you get this rhythm, right? Yeah. This drum that happens, and then that's when it's next level. And I think the concept of that, like that synergy you're talking about when you make it from scratch.
Yeah.
That's the rare moments. All of it's beautiful, but the collaborative moments, those gems when you've got multiple creatives coming together from all walks of life, deciding to marry their ideas and create something. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a beauty and a synergy that most times comes with #1 records, hits, and partnerships that last years, like yours have, right? Yeah. And so like, that's the beauty of collaboration, right? Is the concept of sometimes that shit don't work, and in others it's magic.
I guess I want to ask you both, and what are not a lesson, but what have you picked up from the times it didn't work, right? Like, is there something you've been able to be like, you know what? I can see, maybe not even in this moment, but afterwards I can see a value in it not working. This is what I actually want, I mean, I'm a prime example of that. I mean, I was in a beautiful group, but it just didn't work, The concept of foundation is important. I think when you have more than 2 and 3, and we start talking about 5 and 6 people, the value and importance of everyone come on, a lot of egos, a lot of chiefs. Yeah. What you said was beautiful. You said that you're an introvert, and then he speaks up, and then you step. The willingness to understand it is a marriage. Yeah. Like within company, business, entrepreneurship, it is a marriage. Mm-hmm. It is just important. Like these relationships are relationships just as much as you have your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Like these are come on. And so the concept of communication and understanding your personality, and that, okay, I'm aware of how you feel about this project, is important. When they fail, I think the biggest thing I came from with my groups, because I was in Dirty Money and Danny D. Kane, being with foundation is important. I think it's important that everybody has their say on what they feel. You have to figure out a way to get your mission out, but never exclude anyone else from their feeling like they can't put their input in, because artists are fucking sensitive. Yeah. It's the truth. And so you have to be very specific about, like, you have to respect everyone, and sometimes that doesn't work, right? I think with your team, you guys grew up close together, right? Like, at some point y'all came together fairly young.
Like
early 2000s.
Early 20s, mid 20s.
Right, see, we were rivals, we were competitors, and then we were told to like each other after.
Right,
that's a hard collaboration.
And how you're presented to one another, like
kill each other.
That's kill each other now, love, right?
When I think about collaboration, I think the one thing, it's like sometimes I spend too much time focused on the person I'm collaborating with, like, what are they up to? And blah, blah, blah. And maybe it is sometimes competitive, sometimes it gels better. But I think the thing I realize, I usually walk away with a lot more sense of who I am. Like, maybe I am soft-spoken, or maybe I'm being aggressive, or you're like this in the beginning of the day, and you move better at this point, right? Or like, I end up seeing myself in different ways because I'm kind of someone's presenting it back to me. Yeah. Or they're just someone else that I'm checking in a day. I'm like, why'd they do this? I'm like, oh wait, shit, what did I do?
It's the mirror. It shows you a mirror of yourself. It's the collaboration mirror. Shows you mirrors of yourself. Yeah, because you have to learn to communicate. Yeah, that's what I got from it. I made a lot of mistakes trying to figure out who I was, and then also making sure I understood what the other person was trying to say. But there are beautiful moments in it because when the synergy is right, man, yeah, like it's fantastic because you create something that all like minds understand. So you're getting not just your vision, but everybody's vision together. That's when true art happens, I think.
The collaborative process really taught me how to be okay with looking stupid and sounding stupid.
What you mean?
No, because I'm, we're sensitive about that shit, right? So if we have an idea, we play something, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be stupid. Nobody's gonna like this, right? But you do it, and oh shit, damn, people do like it. Okay, cool. And just even with working with you was like going through the different melodies and stuff, and that's hard shit to do. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard shit to just come up with different melodies and lyrics, and even sounding the risk of sounding stupid or dumb, you know what I mean, or embarrassing yourself. Like I had to get over that. That was my thing. I had to get over just this is stupid. You know what I mean? So that's really what it taught me. Like, you know what? Everybody sounds stupid because when I'm in the studio and I'm working with other people, their shit sounds stupid to me. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only one there. So everybody should sound stupid.
At least you don't have to do it on camera. We had to sound stupid on camera, so that's awesome. We were a mess on camera.
Hey, well, we enjoyed
it. You enjoyed it. That's amazing.
But I'm thinking about the role you're in now. Now, even like you said, your description of yourself as a curator, it's a different type of collaboration.
Yeah.
You're now not just creating, you're sourcing and finding and keeping a vision on like the feel to see who's got it, you know, or who doesn't have it, but maybe you could.
Yeah.
How does that like change your view on artistry?
What I realized is, as I kept going in my journey, I kept being the only one in the room that looked like myself or sounded like myself or was pushing, and I hated it, you know. Even in New Orleans, like a kid who liked anime, who drew like comics. Even when I was in Danity King, when I named the group, it was always that. I was an otaku from the beginning. And that was who I was.
You did the anime moves at recess?
If you look at some of the footage on Making the Band, I was wearing anime shirts. Like
I remember that.
I'm serious, and it's like I always was that girl. But in New Orleans, there was no outlet for a chick like me, you know?
Yeah.
And so after a while, I realized if I'm going to get in these platforms and these spaces and I'm constantly going to be rejected, when I do get the ticket as an artist, do I just want to be an artist or do I want to take it further? And so the choice to be a curator said, I'm beyond that, right? I'm not just a singer. I want to create platforms and opportunities for people who don't have the things that I didn't have. So when I got with Adult Swim, when I became an independent artist, I said, okay, let's not make this about me. How can I create opportunities and platforms for others, for people who just feel like they don't have a lane? And that's when the concept of the curator and the culture curator, because it's beyond just a curator, right? I'm feeding us into systems that we are never seen in, or we're seen limited space. Well, we're there. We're just not being, the magnifying glass isn't there. Yeah. We have beautiful storytellers, writers, NFT creators, tech creators, augmented reality. We're here. Yeah. But most of the times we're in the room, when I'm in the room, when I'm in tech rooms, speaking to tech companies, I'm the only Black woman, always. And it bothers me because I'm not just this random girl by myself. I know there are other dope people out there. We're not giving each other the platforms. So my promise is as a musician, I would apply it to my music videos. I would apply it to the message, to the music. And that got my radar into Adult Swim. And then I said, okay, well, I'm not just gonna animate for myself. I'm gonna find other Black animators, other gay animators, and bring them to the table and say, okay, y'all, we got a space. How do I give you this open opportunity? And that's, to me, what has become artist, that word artist has stretched. Yeah. Because you're not just what you guys have done, you're curating your own idea of what a music producer is. Yeah, definitely. Right? You're an entrepreneur in yourself because you're not only doing what you do, you're teaching, you're leaving a lane open. Yeah. And that's I want to leave a lane open so it was not as hard as it was for a kid like me. Like, it was rough. It's still rough.
You know what's, this is it's a side note, but I didn't know so many Black kids were into anime. This is I know it's not what you told us, but Yeah.
And I had to explain that we are a dollar value, that we spend money there, we cosplay there,
Yeah.
we are at the Comic-Cons, and it was a conversation that I had been saying, gaming, and the money behind it was there, and I think that's what even having tech companies come to the South.
Wow.
It's a taboo thing, right? It's San Francisco, it's LA,
Yeah.
but we deserve our shot too there in the South. And so it's a conversation that culturally, because they don't think we are of value, that we don't need to be in these spaces. And I want us to see, no, we belong there. And that marriage to music and art, it's very close. It's a kiss.
So music is art. So.
It's a kiss, right? You need a
Definitely.
soundtrack to the film. You need a soundtrack to the game that you play.
Yeah.
You need a soundtrack to a music video. The music video is evolving. Augmented reality and concerts are becoming virtual.
Which is crazy. That was
Welcome.
This is one of my questions. I was going to ask
Yeah.
you, where are you all seeing the most transformation happening in different industries? But 100%.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing, and it's crazy because there are people that lead the field, and then sometimes there's like a world event or something happens, and then all of a sudden everyone catches up. Like the world of streaming, right? Like I watch DJs who used to stream. There used to be like a couple platforms that would stream DJs. Pandemic hits, everyone's inside, streaming happens. Or people doing meetings, people like, I'm not going back to work. I can work from home.
Pajama pants and ties.
Yeah, you know, for me, sometimes it was just pajamas and this do-rag. That was it. It was like, it's me. But these moments where you're seeing transformation happen, whether it is in music production, I think about like, you know, you always hear these stories of, you know, like A&Rs like carrying the reel with them on the plane, like, this is the music. And in today, you know, people are collaborating in real time, meeting each other. There's rap crews who meet each other over playing video games.
Yeah.
You know, so where are you seeing transformation happen, just anywhere in the creative realm that you're interested in?
Technology, of course. You know, like you were saying, the virtual world, the metaverse. Like to me, it's cool, and to me, it's like a gold rush right now. It's like the .com boom back in the day. There's only going to be a few players that's going to be, you know, standing tall.
But then there's the potential of what the .com is just as a whole afterward,
Yeah,
right? Of
absolutely,
like the way in which we use it.
Yeah. There's going to be a few giants and people, you know, trickling down from there. It's the same thing with music. The music, there's only, 3 major giants, and everybody trickles down from there.
You know, I think about it like the .com thing. Like I had a good friend of mine explain it to me in this way, where he was like, remember when MP3s dropped?
Yeah.
And like, I'm young enough that it didn't cause any friction in my life. I just remember my pops being like, yo, don't download, like you're gonna get viruses on my computer. Like that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, people used to call music MP3s, and then at some point it just became music, right? And so this like next chapter that we're entering in, whether it's NFTs or, you know, crypto or whatever, it's like it has a name, but eventually it'll just be a part of the way we look at stuff. For augmented reality, one day it'll be like, I'm going to a show, you know, or something like that.
There is an evolution happening, and it's beautiful. Actually, if you jump on it, you'll be able to create something really beautiful for yourself as an artist. The concept of throwing a concert in an alternate world is where a kid who is disabled can actually attend a concert of their favorite person, because they can put their VR headset and experience their favorite concert and see, you know, Donald Glover or see Jhené Aiko sitting in front of them and experience that. It's a change happening. And for an artist, you know, especially for me, I'm excited in the sense of like, the concept of music videos being funded, where you can do an NFT and sell your music video as an NFT.
Yeah.
That way you can monetize, because when you do it with YouTube, you make a little bit of change, whereas if you do it with your NFT, you can make 20 G's in Ethereum really fast.
And it might be me, just a fan, be like, I believe in you, right?
Right, you believe in me and you can get my cryptocurrency and pay. So for an indie artist like me, that's gold.
And that kind of changes the notion of collaboration, right? Because then I'm already bought in, but now I'm like, it's like me and you, or me and you, right?
No, but you don't lose the collaboration, right?
No.
Because, for example, if
it grows,
it grows, right? Because if I'm looking for a company that, or I don't want to go with super rare. I don't want to go with a major company that's an NFT. I want to go with a cool black tech company that's just starting out, and I want to, you know, collab with them. I now have 4 or 5 companies that I'm, you know, a company that's new, that's a, you know, a NFT company that I want to collaborate with. We do this music video together, and now I'm meeting with the tech company that's trying to get on their feet. We create this music video, and I create a culture that's buying my art because they choose to, in a world that can't, you know, it's through the blockchain, so it can't be monitored. It's through its own world. When you
I
speak
feel like
of,
it's monitored a little bit.
a little bit, but here's the thing.
I feel
If
like
you're
monitored
not
a lot of
signed, if you're not signed, that money matters to you, right? If you're
Yeah.
an indie artist and you're not from a mainstream, that's weight for
Yeah.
you, right? Because I'm speaking in the indie space, right? You're a
Yeah.
big hitter, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do indie stuff too.
I know, but I, you know, like
Do
for
your next single.
hey, please. But
Exactly.
you know, for the indie, for the person that doesn't have the manager or you become your own entrepreneur. You're your own
absolutely.
brand.
Or in some ways, let's say if your aspirations are to work with the majors, right? You have like this world and track record that people say,
An
hey,
ecosystem. You have an
I see
ecosystem.
people are rocking with
Yeah,
you.
you have numbers, hard numbers. And I think for that's what I love about the augmented concept. I was doing VR 6 years ago and I hated it because it was beautiful that we were doing it and yay, I'm first. But I had like 3 views, right? No, because no one had an Oculus, right? But I now see because we're home, that's going to change. So the concept of for the artist to build a world for themselves is just like, think about that. Like you can change the concept of what a music video is for the interactive. You can make it interactive.
Yeah.
For something like that, I think that's, you know, when you think about the old Dave Myers and Hype Williams, they were, you know, what Missy Elliott was doing, that was cutting edge then.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
taking the music video to the next level. So it's constantly creating a new concept. Those are the things I think artistically
Yeah, it's cool,
I'm
yeah.
excited about, because I hear what you're saying about like it's Wild
No,
Wild
it's super-
West. It's
yeah.
the Wild Wild West.
And what I think about a lot too is sometimes when barriers of entry get lowered or a new field happens, sometimes you get some stuff that, look, all art deserves to exist, but sometimes you get some stuff where you're like, this isn't that good, right?
It's not,
like
it's
we have
trash.
those moments,
Yeah,
right?
you can say it's trash. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's trash.
right.
Yeah.
It's trash. So like when the barriers of entry get lower, sometimes you get stuff in there that maybe it's not necessarily worth its weight, right? So I'm curious of like how you guys think about that, or is it that sometimes the trash can eventually turn into gold? Like not like someone getting in and playing around in a field and saying, oh, maybe we don't really like this, but it can kind of ricochet around and someone's
But
like,
isn't that
there's some-
art?
yeah,
like
right.
Some,
like
some
something
pop
good can
music
come
is
out of
good
this.
and some is trash, yet
Yeah.
and
Or-
sometimes the trash goes platinum.
Or being
Exactly.
ahead and people
Exactly.
don't get it, or making, the sound of music, like you're saying, like I hear your sound and I'm like, man, it's like we were saying off camera, like it just sounds expensive. Like it has like this, like
Yeah.
it sounds like 2 people taking like 2 glasses and going dink. Like it sounds like that,
Yeah.
But where you're growing up, people didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that pushback and hesitation that people have towards the arts, and you guys having to be on the cutting edge all the time. Do you ever get a point where you're like, maybe you don't want to, not that you don't want to be on the cutting edge, but you're like,
Ahead. You don't want to be ahead because it'll.
and it's having to push.
I love being on the cutting edge. I discern a lot of stuff. I curate. I curate a lot of the. I gotta feel it out first. I'm like, okay, I feel like maybe some of this is moving too fast, and some of it, it's like, okay, why is it moving too fast? Why is there's something, I'm skeptic. So
I feel like what you 2 are talking about is taste, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't enter any of these fields as an artist or even as a consumer without some level of taste about what
Right.
you're doing, right?
Right.
Because whether you're first and you're like, hey, I'm telling you guys are gonna love this eventually, or you're being in a spot where it's filling up and you're like, where's the good shit?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's not here,
Right. I don't know the other space because I only want to facilitate myself with people who are doing the dope shit. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know there's trash there, but I also know that there's some really incredible things happening. So my heart would be like to hopefully be a part of, and when I choose to be ahead, be a part of the dope shit, like, and really do the research. That's important, right? But I also love what you're saying about being skeptical, and saying, okay, to me, the best part is when you put the old, the traditional, and you put that against the new.
You need to have some type of codes and
You
then
gotta
apply
be,
that to,
you know what I'm saying? Like, because it can't be dope without knowing where it came from, right? So that
Facts.
bottom gotta stay there. Where that thing came from gotta be, because that's, to me, culture.
Yeah, wow.
Right? So like, it gotta still have that. To me, that's what tech loses. Is they be so busy over here, they ain't got none of that bottom, right?
Yeah.
If you can figure out, and again, collaboration. That's a form of collaboration, understanding the genuineness of someone that understands the grit, the realness, the bare bones of what it comes from, but then understanding the possibilities of what it could be.
Yeah.
Collaborating to make that make sense could be wicked.
Yeah.
Right? That's when, that's when it could be something beautiful and that's no different as if he gets in the studio with someone that is of that space and they sit down and say, he says, I'm skeptical, but let me show you what I can do. And then that person says, well, I'm over here doing something really gnarly. And they sit down and say, let's figure it out. And you come up with something quite exceptional where you have the culture, but also the possibilities.
Have you had a moment where there was an artist that, whether you all came together or someone arranged you guys to come together, where not that you weren't seeing eye to eye, but they were over here and you were over here, but we don't know that. The finished product is a song that we fuck with.
The story is basically we were working on Maybach Music 3 with Erykah Badu, Jadakiss, and T.I., right? So making that album, the Teflon Don, was super stressful. It's a super short album. It's like maybe 10, 11 songs.
Yeah.
Super big hits on there, Aston Martin and BMF and all that stuff. And so that Maybach Music 3 was, it was us saying, we were just kind of, we were flexing on that motherfucker, really.
Yeah.
As you should.
So Khaled was A&R in that project. And I guess Jadakiss, he gave us a verse and he gave us a hook. So the song was kind of all over the place. So we had Erykah Badu, she gave us a hook. She gave us like a bunch of percussions and shakers and stuff. And we didn't use it because it was too much, but it was some good stuff though. So basically the pushback was we took Jadakiss's hook off and we put, instead of Jadakiss's hook, we used Erykah's hook. And Khaled called me, was like, yo, that's Jadakiss. Yo, what the fuck are you doing, look? We need this Jada, he's top 5, dead or alive. What are you doing? I'm like, bro, Jadakiss, he killed it. I love Jada. But trust me, having Erykah on this hook and then bringing her back in on the second hook, instead of having Jadakiss do a hook after his verse, it's perfect. Trust me, then it goes into Ross. Trust me, it's perfect, it's perfect. We did 2 versions. We did the version with the Jadakiss hook, and we did a version with the Erykah hook. And L.A. Reid had the final say. And then we know the version with the Erykah hook came out. So, and then at the end of the day, me and Cal was like, yo.
It worked.
It worked, it was fire. That shit came out fire. So that was like the,
That just like.
it was just like everybody was stressed. The engineer was stressed. Khaled was stressed. We were all stressed. We forgot like some files didn't render correctly, so we had to like, my man was driving up from Florida to send the files up. Like this is before fast, like the internet was shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we had to like.
Quicker to drive than send it.
Yes, but it was a shouting match.
Also, to just get pulled apart at the scenes between like your picks are between Jadakiss and Erykah. I feel like there's
That's
really
like
not a loss.
great
but,
and great.
No,
You saw where it
just felt like it was just like, okay, his verse ended, it was perfect. Erykah comes back in with the all the good stuff, and
yeah.
like it felt better to us, you know.
I feel like you can get into these parts, and you guys have all been in your careers or developed new careers for many years now, right? But can you guys dial back to the moments where you were finally getting into these industries, and can you remember sort of the misconceptions you had about it, right? Where you thought it was going to be this way, and it turned out this way, and maybe that way was better, or maybe that way was not, and you were like, you know what, but I'm going to work to get it back to the way I want it to be.
For me, it was the studio sessions, because you know, from the outside looking in, you think all these girls and all this stuff and this and that.
Yeah, I always imagine a studio session just mad blunts, like everyone chilling, and every hour is like really good rap music.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just like workhorses. And the thing that surprised me the most were the people that I worked with that were the most successful and most rich. They worked the hardest.
wow.
I was like, damn, you work with Mary, fucking outworking everybody. Alicia Keys outworking everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know, but even guys like Jeezy, he outworks everybody. Ross, you know, these successful people outwork everybody in the studio. There's no games. It's just music. The younger guys, sometimes there's a couple those shenanigans going on with the girls and the blunts and this and that. But for the most part, I was just like, wow, these guys. I see why they're successful.
Like there's talent in their raw ability, whether it's their voice, their ability to write, or just to be who they are, but it's the work.
They work. Their work ethic is like second to none. The successful people, second to none. I was like, wow, they set the example for me. I was like, wow, this is. So I was like, okay, so I gotta
Do that.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's what I have to do.
Yeah, same. But I knew. My dad told me. He was like, "This ain't fun." He told me, so I didn't have any misconceptions. Like I knew when
What it was.
Yeah, I didn't know. Puff is a thing, you know. Like
Yeah.
Puff is a certain thing.
There's energy around him.
Certain thing,
You
right?
feel his presence, everything.
So I knew it would be hard. Puff is the other step up, you know. So like, yeah.
It's like in the studio, like, how do you hear that? What?
Yeah, we don't, you know, so like, yeah, I knew I wasn't gonna sleep, but I didn't
awesome.
realize it until it was, you know what I mean?
When
so
you weren't
like,
sleeping.
Well, yeah, because for us, like, we're girls, so it's different. Like, we had to dance in heels. There was no, you dance and singing in heels.
Yeah,
you don't, you run in heels, you dance in heels.
It's like a boot camp, huh?
Yeah, and so like for me, I knew my body would have to go through things because I was dancing in the NBA before then, so I had already, but I had no clue the concept of stage and working with other people and then delivering vocally while in 7 to 6 inch heels.
That's some hard shit.
You understand? While then delivering, we weren't blessed with lip singing and backtracks, and there wasn't that.
You built from the bottom up.
No, and what's crazy is I didn't realize that you could comp vocals. Cause Puff, you gotta sing that all the way through. So my concept of studio was, it gotta be all right. The whole verse, whole hook, whole everything. There's no beautiful, nobody's comping you. So the concept of messing up was just not an option. And so like the level of, like you say, working hard, we 72-hour days, 4 or 5 days, no sleep.
Yeah.
I would have my big toenail off. I would dance the toenails off. Like, like in my mind I knew, I didn't know though. Yeah, and that concept of like the level, I don't think people really understand the concept of choreo and then delivering the vocal at that level. Like a studio is one thing, but then getting on stage and delivering a full 2-hour performance, that's a different type of stamina. It's a different type of hard work, to translate the studio level to the stage.
Yeah.
And the performance level, because people, that lip sync, no way, we weren't built on that. So like it was like 4, 5, 6 miles a day, running on the treadmill in heels, like that concept of training.
What? Like,
Yeah,
I can't even.
like severe training. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you guys to reveal at least one competitive advantage, like, that you can offer to someone that's listening or tuning in, right? Like, what's one thing that you're like, look, I developed this and this is normally something I had, or I learned this really early on, but, for more others are made, like, I wanna share this with you. Because you guys have given gems throughout this whole conversation, but something that's like, hey, we're gonna tell you, for those of you who can't, like, sift through the gold and get it, here it is right here.
You cannot fake the hard work. You can't fake the hard work, and you can't fake a sound. You know what I mean? Like, you can't fake a writing style. You can't fake the type of voice. You can't fake a style of music. There's a lot of guys now replicating certain eras of music.
Yeah.
And then you can listen to it and be like, okay, that ain't the real shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's close, but it ain't. You know what I'm saying? It's super close, super well done. But there's something missing, you know what I mean? But you can't, like, it's like the tight beats.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Or, so it's, you can't really duplicate it. So just don't worry about sounding like everybody else, because all the A&Rs, when we come, they want us, we want you to, a little John type beat, a little, give us something that Scott Storch would do, this and that, because they knew we were coming in the game, so we were cheaper. They didn't want to pay these guys, but we never did that. We're like, nah, just, a lot of it right now is microwave music and.
I love that microwave music.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it said away, but it is,
Nice.
yeah, microwave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just.
What does it sound like? What is it?
The 30-second button.
Yeah.
We don't ever press the time. We just press the 30-second button.
Instant.
So that's what we do now. So you gotta really hone your own shit, and really, there's no way. You have to work. There's no process on how to do that. You just got to be yourself.
You do it and
just
then
do it.
Yeah.
You gotta fuck up a lot. You gotta fail a lot of fucking up. Lots of fucking up.
Man, have I fucked up and failed and got back up. Yeah, I would say for me, what I've learned is own your art. Equity is your art is your equity.
For sure.
Your art is your equity. And as artists, sometimes we are so artistic that we don't know nothing about our business, nothing about the wealth of what we carry. Art is the message board to life. When those can't speak the same language, they understand the song, right? You go to different countries and they know that one song, you know what I mean? Like, the power of music is infinite. Own your art. Because if someone else owns what you're so sensitive about, then what is the point?
Yeah.
I've learned that my art I'm not just a singer, right? This is a business.
Yeah.
Don't rely on anyone else to business your art. Understand your art, your craft. Like you said, learn it. You can't, fake a sound, but once you tap into what you are, understand its equity and understand how to shape it so that you can own it and use it for the ways you choose to, right? Because that is all you have as artists. It's who we are. It's such a sensitive place for us. If we don't own what we've created, then who are we really? And that's something I had to learn the hard way, and then finally owning my masters and owning that concept of things is so imperative. So I think that's the biggest lesson. It's not as cool as the other stuff, but it's powerful, man. You're publishing, you're writing, that's a power. That's a power, and it's a mighty power for a creative because we don't make a lot of money. It's like either you hit or you struggling to hit, you know what I mean? So in the midst of all that, if you can find a pocket where you own your equity, you can walk with a pride that at least at your bare minimum, you own your art.
Yeah.
Yeah, you own what you create.
And understanding that stuff too is hard because they create their own language, the language
Come
of
on.
law.
Yep.
It's super complicated.
Is it though?
It's not, but once you learn it, it's
What you just said. Where did you just say? Once you learn it.
Yeah, once you learn it. Yeah.
And we figure because that's not the language we speak, right? That we can't learn it. But my research is a powerful thing. If we can sit down at a beat and learn a beat.
Sure.
If we could sit down and learn a run and a riff, we could sit down and look at that
absolutely.
law book. I'm telling you, I had to because I was in one of the worst contracts of all time.
Yeah, we had to do the same thing.
I gave my kid, my child's child away. You have those contracts, you have to know that language, even at a small level. And if you don't, make sure you surround yourself with people that protect you to do it. That's imperative.
Everything
You're
can be renegotiated though. That's what I like.
Come on.
Everything can be renegotiated, no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, you can get out of it. Come on.
Get out of it.
Yeah. And that's about, for us, I think that matters for art, the artist, is that we're so busy in the clouds. Don't forget the print.
Before we go, you guys have really storied careers, right? There's a lot of joy in it, a lot of lessons in it. It's wildly entertaining for the people here who are just getting a chance to zoom in and watch you all, and it makes them feel better about their day to day. But for you all, how do you guys jumpstart yourselves every day? What's your favorite thing about living lives as artists? What's your favorite thing about it?
Well, my favorite thing is just being a background character. I'm not bothered a lot. maybe when I was younger, but now it's I can go to the store, I can do whatever. I can make the money, but I don't have the accolades of the face. Maybe not like Dawn would, because she's a performer. I'm not, so I'm just I'm in the background. I help people like Dawn.
You make us better.
Yeah. And then you go on stage and dance in the heels.
What it look like?
That's why I'm not an artist.
He said it.
And Dawn, finally for you, you're in so many different lanes. You've evolved in front of us in many ways, away from us in many ways, and you're still forming what you do, which is dope. What's your favorite thing about living life as an artist who's known since you're putting on the tights?
I like the concept of reinvention, right? Here's the thing, right? As Black women or women of color, we're told that in order to survive, we have to be one thing and stay with it so that people can see it as beautiful. and like stay with it, stay. Because if you drift or you change, you might be in trouble. Other artists who aren't of color have to do that. They can reinvent themselves many a time. They can change.
Yeah,
The
I see it
power,
right now.
come on.
Yeah, I see it.
You see this. If you are black and you choose to be alternative or rock or anything else, it's a road that's different from many. It's a harder road.
Yeah.
I wake up daily proud that I can consistently reinvent myself and I have no fear to do so. That's the pride that I want all of us to have as artists is an artist can't be themselves if they can't constantly reinvent. Like you can't be put like, no painter stayed the same. Picasso changed many times. Frida Kahlo changed many times the style. I get up every day saying, what else can I be today? And I don't fear it because no woman, no black person, no person of color, or no artist, period, should ever feel that they are stifled in their journey in their artistic freedom. That's what gets me up daily is what possibility can I invent today? And with that, that has been my motto. And it is how I've stayed alive this long, because I have been in thousands of groups, and I'm still trying. I've had a mini of shelf life. I'm like a cat with 9 lives, and I think that's because I'm able to get up and keep. I'm reinventing every time. That's the fun part about being an artist.
Well, guys, this is it. So we can just cheers to that.
Salud.